Alright, what's going on, Dark and Darker Dungeon Delvers? I have created the most comprehensive tier list for all 6 classes in Dark and Darker. We're going to be accounting for every aspect from PvE to PvP, solo, group comps, and bossing into this list. Obviously, you could do each of those individually, but I just thought it would be more fun to do it all in one video. So without further ado, we are going to be starting with the Fighter. The Fighter is such a great option for just about any group composition, and also extremely reliable as a solo class, and a great point to start for new players. It can wear just about anything in the game, from cloth to leather to plate, and rock any weapon. This makes it a really fun class because it's easy to go from 0 to hero. As long as you have the weapon perk loaded up, you can use anything. You can throw the Barbarian axes, you could throw the rogue daggers. There's really no end to the amount of build diversity that you have. Its sprint and self-heal over time make it one of the best all-around classes in the game, giving it fantastic options to chase and escape fights. A strength-built fighter with a longbow or windlass crossbow is going to devastate at both mid and long-range encounters. It can poke or push enemy groups, as well as tactically pull back while still lobbing deadly missiles that can easily outdamage even a ranger. Dual wielding, rocking a heater shield to block projectiles including fireballs, or going all in with bardiche or longsword are all really solid options for the fighter when paired with a ranged weapon. The longsword is an especially easy choice in a group comp, as it can parry both melee and ranged attacks, though this requires precise timing, giving it quite the outplay capability. The fighter absolutely excels at PvE and bossing. It is the only class in the game with a taunt, and by stacking magic resist, heavy plate armor, and strength, you will take very little damage from the majority of attacks. Its weapon versatility gives it plenty of room for cleaving, and the fighter will outdamage just about any class in a brawl except the Barbarian. This is absolutely our first SS tier class. Next up, we have the Ranger. It is another perfectly viable class for any activity in Dark and Darker. It has a massive diversity of build options and can wield either crossbows or bows for range damage. A strength-based build with the spear or agility plus strength build for the rapier are going to make it insanely dangerous, while still giving it the rogue's ability to dance in and out of melee range while poking for high damage. A ranger's traps are outrageously useful and incredibly cheap, considering how powerful and absolutely one-shotting they can be when paired with the triple shot on a longbow. You can do speedy builds with cloth, or rock some leather to be a bit tankier as well. This class, especially if you're coming from Apex Legends, Hunt Showdown, or Tarkov, is truly a menace on the map. Longbows feel like sniper rifles, the recurve bow is a DMR, and survival bows feel like an SMG. All 3 of these bows become a pump shotgun when paired with the triple shot, and you will evaporate another player if they get close to you and your aim is true. This class is amazing for PvP, PvE, soloing, bossing, escaping, and tactically retreating back to the traps. By placing good traps, you allow your frontline players to fall back if needed, and you can easily save your backline from being third-partied or having a rogue or mage invisibly sneak toward them if they walk into the traps. It is the strongest extract camper in the game currently, and the most reliable class, 1 versus 3 against geared players, if prepared with extra traps placed strategically. Although this class lacks an area of effect and true cleave, its single target for both ranged and melee are extraordinarily formidable, and this class will be another placed inside of the SS tier. Our next contender is the Wizard. The Wizard has the highest skill ceiling in the game. Another wonderfully diverse class, it has an entire host of build options, from crossbows to offensive spells, interesting melee choices, plus buffs, and utility magic. This class can literally do anything. It is amazing for PvE, PvP, solo, escaping, mid-range poking, extract camping, area of effect spells, single target damage, ranged, and melee. It is not the best for bossing due to its low armor and low health pool, and unfortunately its highest DPS ability, Magic Missile, requires it to stand still, making it an easy target for the Lich skeletal adds, the Lava Monster ground-based fire, and for rangers or fighters to headshot them. That being said, Wizard is by far the strongest class in the game naked and ungeared, and the majority of other classes' gear sets in the game do not have magical resistance, making the Wizard extremely dangerous even against geared players. Casting a fireball and then instant casting another fireball nearly guarantees you will kill anyone in the game, and the Magic Missile spell has the ability to kill all 3 members of an enemy party in a single cast. Chasing a wizard is all but a death sentence, as they also have a slowing debuff and could be rocking a magical shield barrier as a perk. If they built for strength, they are surprisingly dangerous with a two-handed wizard staff or dagger, and the magical sword is the only weapon in the game that ignores physical armor due to its elemental damage. Wizards boost themselves or others with haste and or invisibility, which makes them more capable of ambushing than a rogue, and if you let one get behind your lines, your entire backline is going to collapse from a barrage of magical missiles. There is truly nothing scarier in Dark and Darker than a hasted, invisible barbarian suddenly appearing inside your party as your comms become chaos and your health pools are reduced to 0. All of these things make Wizard almost an SS tier class, but its lack of consistent long-range damage makes it vulnerable to metacomps that include rangers and fighters with longbows or windlass crossbows. Wizard also has the least health and armor in the game since it can only wear cloth, and it is the most likely class to die to ranged attacks first. For all of these reasons, I place Wizard very, very high on the S tier level, almost making it to SS. Next up, we have the Cleric. The Cleric has a special place in my heart, especially in Dark and Darker. It is one of the only games I've ever played where the healing class can absolutely outdamage the DPS classes, and the incredible build options make Cleric super fun to play in both solo and group comps. I was very sorely tempted to make Cleric SS as well, but its lack of ranged damage makes it much less viable on larger map modules, and you can be outplayed by the 3 primary range classes quite easily. With all that being said, Clerics are a great choice. The ability to wear plate, combined with close range magical augmentations such as Smite or Judgment, make this class a huge danger. When you buy it some ale and take the Brewmaster perk, it can also serve as a front-line fighter with ease. The Cleric also boasts a massive skill ceiling since its spells are mostly aim shot rays, which means you can accidentally hit an enemy player with them or miss completely. Bless is a plus attribute stat boost buff, while Protection is a physical damage protection buff, giving it plenty of self and group usefulness, and then you throw in a medium self and group heal, along with a massive heal other spell, plus the ability to receive a portion of healing done to others back as your own health, and you've really got yourself an amazing class. On top of all of this is the ability to resurrect teammates, and if a wizard gives you haste, you can actually battle res mid-combat. This makes Cleric part of what I would consider to be a meta PvP and PvE group comp. You seriously cannot go wrong by having one in your party. Clerics can do vast amounts of damage to undead by healing them, which acts as a sort of anti-necrotic spell, and their AoE undead damage spell is going to obliterate entire rooms in Inferno and be the most useful while fighting the Lich. Stacking magic power, bonuses to healing, or bonuses to physical and magical damage are all going to be incredible for a Cleric, as well as strength, or agility for movement and weapon swing speed. It's honestly hard to miss a roll on Cleric gear, which makes it one of the easiest classes to build a formidable set for. The main reason Cleric is not SS, despite its near necessity in a group setting, is because it has even less ranged capability than a wizard. You can be outplayed, especially solo, against any of the S to SS tier classes, whereas the fighter, ranger, and wizard all have a lot of room to outplay each other. Therefore, the cleric will be taking its rightful place inside of the S tier, just below the wizard. Next up is the rogue class. Obviously, rogues are amazing. Such an interesting class with a really cool toolkit and insanely fast damage per second, as well as extremely fast interaction speed. Rogues are deadly, quiet, super loot goblins, and a very fun solo class to play. They can infiltrate and assassinate the unsuspecting and have the highest chance to survive a dungeon solo, and can gather the most epic and legendary gear at the start of a wipe since they don't need lockpicks, and they are the best class to farm treasure hoards with in Inferno or behind the Golden Door. The rogue can easily stack their bank and secure sets of good gear for other classes, and are just a good addition to a party. 3 rogues are going to be one of the best extract camping groups in the game, and they don't really need any gear to kill kitted and juiced players if they play their cards right. Patience will be your friend with this class, but just be aware, with their low armor and health pool, a lot of other classes can basically one-shot them, even at close range. This is especially true of magic missile, a longbow, a windlass crossbow, or an overhead swing from the bardiche. Small hallways and corners and good use of ambushing are required for this class to outplay, and it has almost zero ranged capabilities. Rogues do dance very well in both PvP and PvE due to their high movement and attack speed, allowing them to dodge the majority of attacks, especially from two-handed weapons. However, they do not boss very well due to their low health and lack of magic resist, along with a complete lack of ranged abilities. They are arguably the worst class to have in a PvP group composition because they have no ranged poke ability, no traps, offensive or defensive utility, and they cannot give anyone else buffs. They consistently have to be inside the melee, zooming around, which makes them hard to play with, as most of the melee classes tend to cleave, and the mage can't really utilize its area of effect spells or missiles without endangering the unpredictability of a rogue. The quick nature of swapping weapons and sky-high agility make the rogue a fairly solid PvPer at close range, especially when they have Molotov cocktails, oil lanterns, and a bandolier of throwing knives to disrupt their opponents. This is still a solid class choice, but in the majority of situations outside of ambushing, it will lose to any of the SS tier classes at mid to long range and is still in extreme danger at close range. For these reasons, the rogue is placed inside of the A tier. Next up, we have the Barbarian, the Berserker, a god amongst the melee classes. This class can output some serious damage. It is by and large the deadliest class in the game when paired with a wizard, and if you throw a cleric in its pocket, it can sweep 3-mans when fully buffed with ease, and feel like you were just injected with god power. Smashing chests, screaming and breaking down doors, splitting skulls like firewood. This class is a solid choice for most activities. Its passive magic resist and high health pool, paired with its speed boost and ability to ignore 70% of a target's defense, all while stacking axe damage and increased damage as its health lowers, makes it the best damn W key class in the game. Just scream and run in, you're sure to kill most things, and many classes will flee before you in terror. It is a pretty good PvE class and a nice addition to any boss killing group, as it can soak a ton of magic and melee damage, and will likely out DPS the majority of classes. The Barbarian, much like the Rogue, suffers from a total lack of ranged abilities, which make it very challenging to PvP with, especially around the Spiral Tower and Golden Door middle of the map area and its surrounding ring. In Inferno, it will be outplayed by all of the SS classes and the S classes due to the verticality of pyramids and platforming, forcing the Barbarian to try to run around and jump while getting smoked at range. Dual wielding or using a singular one-handed weapon actually make this class very fast and quite deadly. Overall, the Barbarian is another solid class choice and very fun to treat as a frontline screaming berserker. And its lack of heavy armor, paired with its sprint, gives it a pretty good chance to escape and chase down fights, and it's got the strength of a minotaur when handed a massive axe. The Barbarian will be joining the Rogue in the A tier. I hope you all enjoyed this tier list. I've gotten the Rogue to level 20 3 times, the Cleric to level 20 twice, and every other class to 20 except the Mage, which has quickly become my all-time favorite class. All classes in this game have their time and place to shine. They can all melee with a strength build, even the Mage, and the developers have done a great job of balancing so far and hotfixing issues. I'm excited for the release of the Bard class, which should shake things up, but as of right now, range definitely feels like the meta. 2 ranged classes plus Cleric feels like the group meta. And here are some small things that I would suggest to bring the overall balance a bit closer to normal without really sacrificing anything. Longbows should be reduced by 2 damage overall in order to make them less of a sniper rifle and so insane at range, and the windlass crossbow should also be reduced by 2 or more flat damage. My other hot take would be that upon entering a red delve portal to go down to Inferno, all of your health, abilities, and spells should fully reset, which would give players a better chance of surviving down there and encourage people to go down there more often. Let me know in the comments section which classes you guys love, whether or not you agree with this tier list, and how you feel about my hot takes. And I'll see you for the next one.